What do most Fortune 500 executives have in common? After more than 150 conversations with executives from companies like Disney, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, I've learned that sports is a common denominator. Some of our guests' athletic experiences earned them a place in their sports Hall of Fame, like Chick-fil-A Chairman Dan Cathy. Some hung up their cleats after high school, like Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian, while others, like Condoleezza Rice, claim they weren't that great in their sport. But no matter their skill level, they have all told me that being a part of a team taught them leadership lessons that they still use today. In partnership with Chief Executive Magazine, I'm your host, Don Yeager, here to give you an all-access pass to genuine, authentic, fireside chat-like conversations with today's business icons so that you can create powerful change in your organization. This is Corporate Competitor Podcast. With me for today's episode is Eric Olson, founder and CEO of Global Financial Impact, a rising leader in the financial services industry. Eric was captain of the San Jose State football team and credits his sports background with teaching him how to be a good teammate and how to follow a game plan. From humble beginnings to becoming a self-made millionaire, Eric's journey highlights the power of hard work and remaining coachable. Make sure to check out corporatecompetitorpodcast.com/notes for my favorite quotes and reflection questions to help you apply today's insights.
I call it the C words. So they're coachable, they're credible, they're competitive, they have a crusade focus, which means they want to help people, they're cash flow motivated. So the C words, those 5 C words is what I look for.
Eric, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Don. I appreciate it.
Your career is fantastic. The numbers are outrageous, but I want to start with a habit. A daily habit that I listened to a video and I heard you describe your commitment to dedicating 1 hour each day to critical thinking. And when you implemented this, you saw a huge shift. In fact, I heard on that video that you believe this habit paid off with 20x results in multiple areas of your life. Now, what does that 1 hour critical thinking practice look like?
I appreciate that, Don. I've had great mentors in my life, and I'm always trying to get 1% better every single day. And then in 100 days, you'll be 100% better. That critical thinking, I believe that some people, once they reach a certain level of success, they think they know everything. And I always say that it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes all the difference in the world.
John Wooden.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's correct. I want to challenge everybody out there to think about, okay, what's my big goal for 2025? And for me as a company in GFI, if we don't stand for something, we'll fall for anything. So we stand for the 5 F's, right? Which is the fulfillment formula. Hopefully one day we're all going to go to heaven, but before we go to heaven, let's have heaven on earth. And that's the fulfillment formula. And what really gives me fulfillment is helping people become the best version of themselves. And so when we're talking about goals, whether it's faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun, and let's say, because I'm in the financial industry, let's call it income. So let's say someone says, my goal next year is to make $500,000. And then I would challenge their thinking and I would say, what would it take for you to make $1 million? Who would you have to be as a leader? Who would you have to be as a person? And what would you have to do in order for you to double that and double down and go make $1 million next year? And all of a sudden, they're starting to think bigger and they're starting to think different. And they're starting to think outside the box. And that's what I try to do, Don, every single day with the critical thinking task is, who would I need to become as a leader? What would I need to do as a person? What would I need to do as a company in order to go from good to great and get to that next level? And so just basically, Tony Robbins talks about it's the questions that you ask yourself that will determine the life you live. So during that critical thinking hour, I'm just asking myself the tough questions, because if you want to be good, you focus on your strengths. But if you want to be great, you aggressively attack your weaknesses. But before you start asking me questions, I want to let you know I respect you, Don, and everything you've done. And congratulations on all your success. And I love this podcast and I've listened to it and it's pretty awesome. Congratulations for everything you're doing.
Eric, thank you. That means a lot. As I said, in my prep to be here with you, and then I'm going to get a chance to spend some time with some of your team.
Yeah, we're excited for that, by the way.
Yeah, I love learning about how you're building what you're building, because what you're doing is statistically an anomaly, right? In fact, I think I heard you say that 20 million people since A.L. Williams have actually joined a company like yours, right, around the world. And since A.L. Williams started this process, but only 2 have ever achieved the numeric success that you found. What piece or role of that success do you attribute this concept of just giving yourself peace and quiet and thought time to actually process things? Because too often we're just in such a hurry.
I've been definitely very blessed being in the financial industry for 21 years. And before that, I was in sports and coaching sports for 20 years. And people ask me, what's the number one reason why you're successful? And I would literally go back to my sports days of playing sports and playing Division I college football and coaching sports. And I bring it back to my sports days. But I've just been blessed to have a great family, great mentors, great leaders in my organization. And when you work hard and you just keep your head down and you have a big goal, then it's called compound pounding. Eventually you wake up and you're where you want to be. But
compound pounding?
Compound pounding. Yeah. It's the number one characteristic of a winner, I would say, is consistency. A lot of people, they do pretty good for a month or for a year, but if you spend a couple decades doing something, you get really good at it. They say it takes 10 years or 10,000 hours to be the best at what you do. And I've been doing this for 21 years now, so I should be good at it, hopefully, right?
There are a lot of people who've been doing it for 20 years and have not found that success. If you could pick something that you would say is a real driver in what's allowed you to separate yourself from others who are really good, what's that habit?
I'm a man of faith, and I would say my favorite Bible verse of all time, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me, and that's the truth. So if God is for you, who can be against you? You can pick faith or you can pick fear, and I pick faith. So that's number one. That's true. I believe everything happens for a reason. And GFI, Global Financial Impact, I also believe it means God-favored individuals. And so that's number one. Number two, I would just say that I have a healthy obsession for helping people become successful. We call it leadership development. So I was in a toll booth at the San Jose airport in California, making $15 an hour. And someone recruited me into the financial industry. And 3 years later, I was 25 years old, making $1 million a year. And so I saw my entire life change because I have no college degree. I have no experience in financial services or business or sales or as an entrepreneur. And someone coached me and mentored me and helped me. And I was going 25, making $1 million a year. And then in my 30s, making $1 million a month. And that's net personal income. And because my life was changed, like I'm literally addicted to helping others change their life as well in all 5 F's, not just financially, but faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. So someone did it for me and I just want to return the favor. Because I've been blessed, I want to be a blessing to others. And so I think that would be a separator for me besides my faith, just focusing on helping others. And I believe that givers gain. So if you're focused on helping others, my business philosophy now for 21 years has been, if I help others get to where they want to go, then I'll ultimately get to where I want to go. And it's a win situation. So that's what I would say, Don.
I love the story, the visual of you working in a toll booth. You're a big dude, 6'5", squeezed into a toll booth. Tell me the full story. You're there, you're working there, $15 an hour.
Yep. You got to take me back to 21 years old. I'm captain of San Jose State football team in Northern California, training to play, hopefully playing in the NFL one day. That was my goal. That was my dream. And I was working at the toll booth at the San Jose airport for 4.5 years. I was taking 18 units in college. I was doing all these different things. I was coaching my little brothers in baseball and football. And so I'm third base coach. I'm the head manager of my brother's baseball team. And someone called me. I'm not allowed to answer the phone. That's why I believe that everything happens for a reason. But somehow, some way, I answered the phone and they said, let me ask you a question. Are you married to your job or are you keeping your business options open? And I said, who's this? And they said, how would you like to turn your annual income into your monthly income? And I said, man, that sounds great because I'm only making $30,000 a year. So if I can make $30,000 a month, that'd be incredible. And they said, I heard you have some leadership skills from the football field, and I know you're coaching sports, and I've heard good things about you. Come into my office. It's financial services. Come in for an interview. And I came in, and the guy that interviewed me, he played Division II college football, and I was playing Division I college football, and I'm competitive. And so he said, "Oh yeah, I made $40,000 last month, and I used to be a truck driver, and now I'm making $40,000 a month, and I just bought a convertible Corvette." And I was just thinking to myself, if this guy could do it,
a Division II guy, a D2 guy could do it.
That's right, exactly. So I'm just like, if this guy can do it, I can do it. And so my competitive juices started flowing, and I got into the business, and I struggled my first probably 14, 15 months. I struggled because I was still playing football, still going to college.
You were chasing a financial services dream part-time while actually playing football still. That is crazy. I don't know how you squeezed in all that time.
It was 20 hours a day, literally. And that's what I'm still doing to this day, 20 hours a day. My football coach at San Jose State, Dr. Fitzgerald Hill, he convinced us, because he used to be a military man. He said, you only need 4 hours of sleep per day. And we all fell into the trap, and we all literally 4 hours a day of sleep and 20 hours a day of working hard and football and school and my job and then financial services. I would literally take off my helmet from football, run into the office doing financial services. I still had a line in the middle of my forehead from football practice, and started to learn the business. So yeah, it was pretty crazy.
You mentioned the first 14, 15 months struggling. I get there was a time constraint, but was part of it too, it's not many people, it's a very attractive phone call to get. How would you like to make your annual income, your monthly income?
Yeah.
But the truth is there's a lot of moving parts to that.
Yeah, correct.
What were some of your early struggles? What were some of the things that you had to fight through? And talk to me about how being an athlete helped you fight through those things.
Yeah. Would you like to turn your annual income and your monthly income? Everyone says yes, but then the catch is there's work involved, right? There's work involved. And so, yeah, my early struggles, believe it or not, Don, I was shy. I was introverted, offensive lineman. You know what I mean? I was shy and introverted, and I didn't really knew anything about business or sales or entrepreneurship or recruiting or building or anything like that. To answer your question, I think sports really did help me a lot from my playing sports. I played football, baseball, basketball, track and field, wrestling my entire life. I even did swimming. Like, I love sports. What I learned from sports, though, is just the never give up mentality.
Yep.
Because I played on really bad teams and I played on really good teams, but regardless, I just couldn't give up. I just had to keep going, and you never lose, you just learn. And so I always just tried to learn a lesson from every single game that I lost or game that I won. And my kids, we have 4 kids, and when I'm driving my kids to their sporting events right now, I always say, hey, the difference between good and great, when you're good, you focus on your strengths, but when you're great, you got to aggressively attack your weaknesses. That's the only way to get great. And so I had to attack my weaknesses, Don, with being shy and being introverted and trying to start doing personal development. And now I'm doing the 1 hour a day of critical thinking to go from good to great. But also I do personal development, right? Watching podcasts like this and learning from the greats in order to be great. And anybody that tries to tell me I'm already great, I always say, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. I'm only 42. I'm just getting started. I'm just learning this thing. And so that's what keeps me humble as much as possible. But I would say that anybody that played sports or coached sports, they can take that competitive edge they had in sports and bring it into business and really explode in business. And that's what I've done.
I think the beauty of the connection between, and we've been doing this for 4 years now, interviewing great executive leaders who played sports. I think what comes up so often is how it's important to learn how to win, but it's just as important to learn how to lose. And I would guess in the financial services business, you're getting told no pretty regularly. And so there's a fair amount of how do you pick yourself up after each one of those moments that maybe through sports you had a greater advantage than maybe some of the others you were competing against.
Yeah, absolutely. Win is whatever is necessary. As long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, whatever is necessary to get the job done. And the good thing about financial services and what we're doing in GFI is the fact that, like, I ask people, I say, what's most important in your life? And they go, my family's important. My money is important. I go, that's what we protect. We protect your family with life insurance. We protect your money with guarantees and index strategies. And so we're doing noble professions. So that's why I love what I do. They say when you love what you do, you never work a day of your life. You know what I mean? So you can help people feel good about it. It's a noble profession. Even in the Bible, it says you're supposed to help widows and orphans, and that's what we're doing. But then, oh, by the way, we're the number one highest paid industry in the world, which is financial services. Google, what industry has created the most millionaires? And that's financial services. And so the fact that it's a win, where you're doing good things for people, you're helping people, you feel good about it. We're not charging anything to do it. Oh, by the way, you make crazy amounts of money doing it. It's awesome. So I love it. And it's pretty incredible. And just to see all the people's lives change. Like I have guys that started with me and they were 19 and now they're in their late 20s making a couple $1 million a year and their whole life changed. And that's pretty awesome. So it's addicting to me, to be honest. It's a healthy obsession to help people go from good to great.
So I want to go back to your childhood. I loved one of the stories I read. You described your childhood as living on the wrong side of the tracks. And we've already made reference. Sports played a huge role in helping you find your way to the other side. Football, basketball, track, shot put. By the way, I don't think I've ever met an offensive lineman who was a swimmer before. I would bet if you came off the blocks, you made sure that people knew you were in the pool, right?
I can still tread water for about 4 or 5 hours straight out in the lake. Yeah.
That's a great skill if you're going deep sea fishing. Can you share a specific memory from from childhood years, fields on the field of the court that still sticks with you today, that taught you a lesson that you still lean into today?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I was just off the top of my head, I'm 6'5" and I played basketball my whole life, and basketball was my first love. And so it was me and 4 African-American guys, and we're on the basketball team, and they called me the White Shaq back in the day because I would post up and I was a big guy. And so I loved basketball. And then from sophomore year in high school to junior year in high school, I don't know what happened, but I put on 100 pounds. I went from 225 to 325, and I went from 5'10" to 6'5", all in one summer. I don't know what happened that summer, but I got my growth spurt and I got it late. And so then I'm coming into junior year in high school, and basically the football coach said, "Hey, you got to start doing track and field. You got to get stronger. You got to get faster. We think you can play college football." I said, "I'm basketball. Basketball is my number one." They're like, "No, you're 325. You're 6'5". You're a big guy. You're not a basketball player anymore." So basically he made me switch to do track and field. And all I focused on, obviously shot put and discus, and I did pretty good there, but it was just getting stronger, getting faster, getting better, lifting weights, getting quicker. And that was like really tough for me because my whole life I played basketball and I wanted to play basketball. But when I got my growth spurt and got really big, he said, "You know what? You're going to be an offensive lineman. And if you want to play college sports, that's the only way is football." And so I had to switch my whole mindset, stop playing baseball, stop playing basketball, went all in football, went all in track and field. And I didn't like when he told me that at first, but then now I look back, it was the best thing for me. So my coach, his name was Steve Nelson. He knew that this would be better for me. And I got a full Division I scholarship to San Jose State. And I wouldn't have got that unless I did the track and field and got faster and got quicker and got stronger. So I appreciate that moment. And that was a learning lesson for me.
And the learning lesson for you, which you continue to be able to execute on today, is actually just speaking truth to people, even if it's not always what they want to hear, right? You didn't want to hear give up basketball. Right. It was your dream. Where else did Coach Nelson, is there another Coach Nelson story you could share with me about something he did, some way that he worked with you that made you the leader you are today?
Yeah, I never did track and field before. It was just football, baseball, basketball mainly. And he said, "Hey, we got to come do this, and you got to wear these short shorts and track and field." And I was like, "Man, I'm not used to this. This is not." He told me, he said, "If you want things you've never had before, you got to do things you've never done before." So I know that you wearing these short shorts and track and field and the more of an individual sport is not your cup of tea. But guess what? If you want to play Division I college football, then this is what you're going to have to do. And so again, it was like, I literally was uncomfortable wearing these short shorts. I was uncomfortable with an individual sport. But then again, I followed his instruction. I was coachable, even though I didn't like it, and listened to him. And sure enough, that's why I was able to get a full Division I scholarship, and it worked out. Sometimes you got to hear the truth even when you don't like it. And luckily I was coachable, and through my sports background, I was coachable, and it was a good decision.
You just said a word 3 times that I wanted to focus on with you, coachable. Talk to me about how you learn to be coachable. Too often, as people get really good at something, as you said earlier, right?
Yep.
You begin to believe you begin to believe in your own self so much that I don't need to have others offer me advice. How do you stay coachable even today?
I think that's one of my hidden talents or hidden secrets, because literally anybody that they make 5% of what I make, or they're doing 1% of what I'm doing, they think they know everything already and they're not coachable. And so I'm the opposite. I really believe I can learn something from everybody. Everybody has strengths. Everybody has talents. Everybody has gifts. And for me, being in business the last 21 years is just a combination of learning from all different kinds of people, how to sell, how to recruit, how to build, how to lead, how to public speak, how to mentor, how to train, how to just everything. And I'm learning. And if you get a little bit from every single person and you bring that all together, and guess what? You can do something big. And so I'm literally addicted to learning and getting better and just asking questions like, Don, when we're together next week, I'm going to be asking you 20 questions. If I can learn one thing from you, which I'm sure I'll learn a lot more, then that would help me, and I'm always trying to get better. And the reason I'm trying to get better as a leader is because I want to be better for my people.
You don't just value being coachable yourself. You seek out coachable people, right? What do you look for? If I'm a leader and I'm trying to surround myself with people who are sponges, what are some of the things you ask? What are some of the things you look for? What do you seek when you're trying to find that person that you know is going to be a match?
I call it the C words. So they're coachable, they're credible, they're competitive, they have a crusade focus, which means they want to help people, they're cash flow motivated. So the C words, those 5 C words is what I look for. If you have that burning desire, that just, they want to be somebody so bad, I look for that eye of the tiger, that killer instinct. So if they have that, and that's why I believe I'm always committed to trying to get better every single day, because I have that burning desire to be the best, and for GFI to be number one, and for us to create more millionaires than any other company in history. Because it's not about me, it's about developing leaders and building people. And we want to do the NVIDIA effect. I'm from the east side of San Jose, California, the wrong side of the tracks, and the NVIDIA guy who created thousands of millionaires through
Jensen Wang,
going public. He was from the east side of San Jose as well. So I'm like, hey, if you help
and Jensen, you need to learn to wear leather jackets and do all the good stuff. I had an opportunity to go out and speak at NVIDIA. What a fantastic organization. What an incredible story they are, right? Much like GFI. You live by a leadership philosophy that I've read you talk about several times. It's not about you, it's about your people, right? You've already made several references.
Correct.
You're passionate about trying to figure this out. As a Division I athlete, captain at San Jose State, that mindset that it's about the rest of you, right? You're an offensive line guy. Like your job is you have to do a job in order for everybody else to be successful. Is there a specific story that captures the essence of that belief about what you learned about how to take care of your people? Is there a story that really captures that belief that you can share with us?
I learn, like I said, I learn a lot from everybody. And a lot of what I learn is what not to do, because there's a lot of people that say it because it's like, it sounds good, and then they don't mean it or they don't deliver on it. Like for me, I left my former company after 21 years, and then my wife and I started GFI. And right before I was leaving, they offered me 9 figures to stay. That's a real number. They offered me 9 figures to stay, and I turned it down because I said, what are my people going to get? What are my leaders going to get? What are all my top, people in my organization going to get? And they said nothing. I said, well, I'm going to create a company and start a company where my people benefit, where my people get a big check, like the NVIDIA effect. Like when we go public here, there's $84 trillion switching hands, and just in the next 6 years. And so by the end of 2030, GFI is going to go public, and then a lot of people are going to benefit from that. And that's what we want. And you said it, it's from me being an offensive lineman. It takes 11 people on the football field to score a touchdown, and team is together. Everyone achieves more. So it's like everybody together. It's fun to be wealthy, but it sucks when all your friends are broke. So why don't we win together? And that's a team. And that comes from sports. Like, let's all win together. Let's make it happen together. And I've been making 7 figures or 8 figures now for 18 years. So it's not about me anymore. It's really about our people. And I want to see our people win and win big. And I think that does come from sports. But I just seen, to answer your question, I've seen a lot of people say it and then not do it. I've seen a lot of people sell false dreams, and I'm so excited to deliver on this dream that we're selling.
Football played a significant role in your life. Obviously, you've shared a lot of that so far. You mentioned earlier your dream was, while you're working in that toll booth, was you wanted to go play in the NFL at some stage. But did that chapter of your dream come to an end after college? It did. Yeah,
it did. It did. We say the NFL stands for not for long.
Right? That's right.
And so I got offered a practice squad contract to play in the NFL, to get beat up every single day. And I turned it down. They're going to pay me just a couple $100,000 a year. And you can make NFL money without all the injuries and financial services. So again, everything happens for a reason. God has a plan. And so I'm glad everything turned out the correct way. But again, a lot of people have this dream to play professional sports. What's the alternative? What's the plan B? Always great to have a dream and go 100% on it like I did in football, but God forbid it doesn't work out. I got hurt. I blew out my shoulder a couple times against Ohio State and Florida Gators and all these great teams that we played. And then I was like, you know what? Let me pivot. And now I always say, we don't panic, we pivot. We don't panic, we pivot. I would ask a question to everybody out there. I said, what if your entire life, what you've done prepared you for this next moment? And that's what I convinced myself, that all my sports background, as an athlete, as a coach, all the discipline, the focus, the teamwork prepared me now for this business. And one of the greatest leaders who've ever done this business, a guy named Art Williams, and he was an old football coach in Georgia. And he built one of the best financial services companies ever way back in 1977. And I study him a lot. He believed that coaching in football prepared him to be a big leader in financial services. And I believe the same thing. Like everything I did as an athlete, everything I did as a coach now prepared me for this moment. And that's why, here in GFI, we actually have fun. We have the locker room talks. We treat it like a sports team. So I took everything I learned from sports and brought it into business, and it turned out pretty well. So I would just tell everybody, what if everything you've done in your life, God has prepared you now for this moment, for your next transition, for your next career, for your next big move, and having a sports background like I had prepared me even more and better, and made me a little bit tough, because I was a little bit physically tough back in the day, but I'm more mentally tough now than physically tough. And a lot of that mental toughness came from those double days and those 5 a.m. lifting weights and all that stuff. That prepared me for this next moment, this next venture in my business. So
I read that you coached 32 seasons, which I'm sure is, you're only 42. So you got multiple years in some of those seasons. But I got to ask, how does it feel to be the Nick Saban of youth football?
Nah, not at all. Nick Saban, man, I could learn a lot from Nick Saban. That guy's a legend. But yeah, I've been coaching since I was 16. I coached my 2 brothers in sports, and now I coach my 2 sons in sports. And even my daughter now wants to play some flag football. So I'm going to be coaching her next year. And so it's fun. I just, again, anything I do, I just go all out and have a healthy obsession. And I think that any great church, any great sports team, any great company, it rises and falls on leadership. And so, yeah, fun to coach those 32 seasons. And I would say winners win. That's what I would say, winners win. And when you put your time and energy and effort and heart into what you do, then guess what? You win. And the cool thing about those 32 seasons is every single season was like a different team. I would just say, if you're going to do something, go all out. There's a lot of people that are half budding coaching, or half budding their life, or half budding their business, or half budding their career. Like, I would be watching videos and plays before the games.
10-year-old football games?
Correct. Yeah, no, absolutely.
You'd be watching videos. Oh, look at you. I was wondering.
For sure. No, absolutely. I take it very serious. And if we're gonna play, let's play to win. And we would win like 62 to 6 and 58 to 3. And the parents on the other side would get mad because we'd win by so much and things like that. But again, and obviously we lost as well sometimes, but I would just say, if you're going to do something, go all out and give your best, and winners win. And that's, by the way, that's one of my biggest joys in my life, is after church on Sundays, coaching my boys in sports. It's awesome. It's incredible. But I would just say what separates me is taking it very serious, being obsessed with it. I spent a couple hours before the game drawing out the game plan and calling the plays. And my son was quarterback and he had all the stuff planned out. And I just taking it very serious. And other dads would just go up there and go, hey, yeah, I guess I'm just here to have some fun. I was like, I'm here to win. So you can come out here and have some fun, but I'm here to have fun and win.
Well, it's amazing how much more fun you have when you win.
That's right. 100%.
By the way.
100%.
Yeah. You even mentioned it middle way through this conversation. You talked about mentors having, and the idea, you talked about Greg Kapp, and mentorship is massive, but it's also often mistaken for people. They don't know where to go to find a mentor. When someone asks you that question, how do you coach them on how to go find a mentor?
Yeah, that's a good question. And by the way, you have different mentors in different seasons of your life as well. And
Amen.
Now me in this role, I have this new mentor. His name's Jason, and he's been absolutely incredible for my new role here in business. Has been just literally life-changing. And so I would say, because I'm in Silicon Valley, I'm a Golden State Warriors fan. I'm taking my boys to the Golden State Warriors game here tomorrow night. I would say, I give the analogy, if you're Steph Curry and you're trying to go win another MVP and Coach Steve Kerr is your coach, you can't tell your coach how to coach you. You can't tell your mentor how to mentor you. Like people, it sounds good. Oh, I want a mentor. And then they say, oh, by the way, I don't work weekends. I don't wake up early. I'm not going to run sprints. I'm not going to do this. Like, you can't tell your mentor how to mentor you. You can't tell your coach how to coach you. And that's most people. They want to get to the next level, but only if it's rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. Like, you got to be straight up. For me, I call it the sandwich approach, or bun, meat bun, or hug, jab, hug. Tell them something nice and then tell them what they really need to hear, and then end nice. So it's not fatal for them, but I do tell them exactly what they need to hear to get to the next level, because at the end of the day, you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. And so for us, I always tell people, like, hey, do you want the truth? All right, here it is. But then I start positive, and then in the middle, I tell them what they need to hear, and then I end positive. And in order to pick a mentor is someone who is where you want to be financially or successfully. Like, you respect them. You can have different mentors for different things. You can have a spiritual mentor, a business mentor, a fitness mentor. You can have different mentors for different things. But if we're talking business, it's who is where you want to be. And then you have to ask them questions, and then you have to be coachable, and you have to listen, and you can't not agree and not listen to the advice, because that's anybody and everybody. It sounds good, but then, like, literally some people are like, all right, tell me what I need to hear. Coach me. I'm ready. And then I told them, and literally I didn't talk to them for 6 months because they were so upset and so sad and so mad. But at the end of the day, people need to be told the truth sometimes. And that's something about me. Like, even my mentor now to this day, his name's Jason. I go, Jason, I already know I'm good, but I want to be the best. So tell me what I'm not good at. Tell me what I need to improve on. Tell me what I suck at. He said, are you serious? I said, yeah, 100%. And literally that's what I do. And 99% of people are not willing to hear that. And that's why they're not getting to the top of where they need to be. So that's
when you and I had our first conversation months ago, it was around a person that's very important to me and you as well, John Wooden.
That's
and
right.
Coach Wooden was a mentor for me for a number of years. And the one thing he made me do when I showed back up after a mentoring session, the next time we talked, he made me go through and explain and share with him what I did with what he taught me. And so if I couldn't show that I was using, he didn't want to give me his time. Like, his time was valuable too, even though he was in his 90s at the time. Show me that what I just offered you was valuable. That was the way every conversation had to begin. And that then unlocked the door for the next level. And
hey, that's what I remember. I said every time I want to learn something, I just learned that from you right there. And obviously you learned it from Coach John Wood. And I love that, because I'm giving advice and mentorship and coaching to everybody. And now I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to give you this, but I want you to come back in a month and tell me how you applied it. That's so good. That's so good.
And if the answer is I didn't, and then, by the way, I got time to go get another cup of coffee now, right? Because I don't need to be talking here. So
that's good.
Hey,
what I learned, Don, from Coach John Wooden, since we have that hero in common, is just being brutally honest with yourself. He talks about it in a couple of his books, like being brutally honest with yourself. And that's what I try to do all the time, just being very self-aware. But it's, okay, you know what you're good at, but then what are you not good at? And be brutally honest with yourself. And that's the only way to get to the next level. And I think most people aren't willing to do that. So
go chase it. Go
yeah,
chase
right?
it. Eric Olson.
Yep.
You know what? I am fired up, ready to go. I don't know that I could take you on as an offensive lineman, but I am. But one of these days, you and I'll have to get out and shoot a basket or two.
I'd love to.
I love it. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the energy. I appreciate the wisdom. And I thank you today for being a corporate competitor with us.
Yeah. Hey, it was an honor to be on with you, Don. Thank you so much for having me. And let's go from good to great. GFI, go for it.
Do it.
All right.
I got to tell you, I was introduced to Eric by our mutual friend, Jerry Blair, and I could not be, I'm just fascinated by what he's doing, how he's building this organization, how he's building his company, and why so many people are stepping out to show their faith in him by lining up to be a teammate. But there were several things that I really took from today that I will use immediately. Number one was this idea about taking a period of each day to give yourself some quiet time to actually critically think. And his line, the questions you ask yourself determine who you are going to be. So what are you doing? Can you take time to ask yourself those critical questions? Actually ask yourself difficult things about outcomes, behaviors that will help shape you, make you better. The second thing I really appreciated was when he was very obvious and very open about how sports taught him how to marshal that obsession for being the best, right? This idea that he wanted to be best in class at everything that he was going to do. And now he has that passion to kind of offer that to others. He talked about how when he first started in this industry, this financial services industry, he was introverted, that he wasn't a good test taker. He failed that test multiple times, but he had to work through all those things to get where he is. I loved his line, you never lose, you just learn. How do you marshal the competitive nature you have? You use it to help you grow and get better in other places. And the third, I love the way he talked about his coach in high school, Coach Nelson, who shared with him that now that his body had changed physically, he wanted to play basketball, but that wasn't where his gift was going to be at 320 pounds. He had to go learn and do something else. But if he did so and he put himself into a place that he could use the gift he'd been given of size, he could actually go do something with it. But not just play football, also play another sport that helped make him better, track and field. Although his description of himself in short shorts has me a little troubled. A 6'5" offensive lineman in short shorts, not a vision you want to have for long. But he talked about how that coach shared with him the importance of being coachable, going and learning whatever it took to get better. His great line, you can't tell a mentor how to mentor you. You can't tell your coach how to coach you. You have to go seek guidance, seek wisdom, listen, learn, and move. What great content. I'm better for this conversation. I hope you are as well. I appreciate you. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple and Spotify. Feedback helps us spread the insights of our guests to a wider audience. It actually increases our ratings. Thank you so much for those who have done so in the past. And catch new episodes every Wednesday. Subscribe at corporatecompetitorpodcast.com to be the first to get a chance to listen. And as a thank you gift, I will send you a chapter from one of my best-selling books. Stay connected with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My handle is @DonYaeger, DonYaeger. And until next week, I appreciate you.